All right, we got to talk about this. This is the second time they've nerfed Venture since the launch. It's been like 3 weeks, and it just seems that this one is more detrimental than the last one. They've taken primary fire and they've reduced it by 5 points. They've taken drill dash and reduced it by 10 points, and then they've increased the ult charge by 10%. I don't think the ult charge is going to make a difference because it's a terrible ult anyway. We gave a long-range ultimate on a short-range character. It just doesn't make sense. As far as these go, though, it takes the explosiveness of this character away, and when this character is already int for value, it's just going to reduce the amount of value that this character holds anyway, because most of the time when you go into the backline, you are trying to trade at best with one of their healers. It's rare that you will get out because you don't have a third ability. It feels like we're missing an ability entirely, because you should have 2 abilities to damage with, just like old school Doomfist had, and then 1 ability to get out. And that's it. But as it stands right now, like, you go dig, drill, and then you uppercut to come out, which is dig. That's not a third ability if anyone's trying to argue that. And then half the time you need drill to finish a kill, and then you have no exit, because even if dig comes back in time for that, which is an 8-second cooldown from the time that you exit the ground, if drill comes back, or if dig comes back, it doesn't matter because it takes too long to get underground anyway. But then half the time when you're in the backline, there's too much CC. You can't bait out 4 abilities because you go into it and you bait out a sleep dart, which is great, good for you, but then you have a Cassidy in the back with a hinder, or you have a Sombra that's just living on their healers for a hack, or you have a BAP that can throw a lamp, or all of these things just completely negate Venture and make it so that this character is not pickable in some circumstances. It's just getting outrageous, and now we're nerfing this character further. I don't understand this. I think Venture would also benefit greatly from another tank, because as it stands right now, like, especially, like, I'm plat, right? I'm plat, high gold. I live in that territory. Tanks in my range don't understand how to dive. And if they do understand how to dive, we're leaving our backline completely vulnerable. We don't have a second tank to take on that. If you get to a tank on your team that can dive, this character is unreal. And so maybe in the higher ranks this is a problem, but it sounds to me like Venture's not being played in the higher ranks. I'm playing in the low ranks, and no one knows how to play with Venture. I've gotten like 2 or 3 games, and you've seen shorts of them on my channel, where I get with a good ball who knows how to dive, or I get with a good Winston that knows how to dive, and this character goes off in those situations. But it is rare. I've had like 3 games, maybe. Other than that, it's just int for value, and we've taken the explosiveness away, requiring this character to have a secondary teammate to help out with that, and it's just not viable. So I think this is absolutely detrimental. I think this is a big problem. I think Venture's going to get picked less and less and less, which was already lessening. I feel like I've heard maybe that this change is coming because Venture in the low ranks was outperforming what they should have, but I think that that's falling off quickly, because I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but Pharah is being picked every other game because it's impossible to play Venture into Pharah. If you're Venture, your teammate DPS is not swapping for any reason. They just refuse to at this point. So it's your job to defeat the Pharah, who is your direct counter, and it just becomes so many issues. Last thing I wanted to touch on with Venture, I think that, again, I think this character is really fun, but I think there's just things that are missing. It just feels like there wasn't I don't know. It just doesn't feel like they flushed out the idea of this character before they put this character into the game, because, hello, why does Drill Dash not counter pin? Every time that a Reinhardt comes to me, it is second nature, just like with old school Doomfist and just like with Brigitte, to try to counter pin, and then all of a sudden your forward momentum with a huge drill in your hand just gets stopped by a big dude charging forward, and you get run into a wall and die. That's ridiculous. Like, how did we not get to those little things before this character was released? It just feels very unpolished, if that makes sense. I don't know. I'm getting a little frustrated with this. I thought that Venture was in a fairly good spot I didn't think that the character was super overpowered in the beta, and then got nerfed upon release, and I felt that Venture was in a good spot. Even then, I was worried about the nerfs on launch, and it just didn't seem to affect it that much. It just felt like Venture was still viable at least and fun to play. But now, I mean, why are we nerfing explosiveness on this character? That is the identity of this character. There's no reason for us to just turn around and throw that out the window. So, let me know what you guys think about this. I'd like to hear feedback on this as well. I want to know if I'm the only one frustrated, or if you guys are having a completely different experience and Venture's just tearing up your games and just making it unfun for the rest of you. I genuinely want to know, because I haven't heard a lot of complaints about Venture. So this one really came out of left field for me. I think that the Orisa nerfs up here are perfect. I think they did a wonderful job on that. That needed to happen, but I just don't think that the Venture nerfs needed to happen. So, appreciate you guys.